Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Mohawk Motors. My name is Jason. So this is going to be part 3 of V8 swapping. My 2007 Silverado Classic came from the factory with a 4.3 V6. We've already got the engine bolted back into the truck and all the underside stuff hooked up. Exhaust, transmission, drive shaft, catalytic converters, oxygen sensors, all those things. So this video, I'm going to be working on getting all of the engine compartment stuff fixed back up, right? So, you know, the V6 cooling system is different. The plumbing is different. The hoses are different. So we're going to get all that sorted out. The V6 air cleaner is different. So we're going to get that sorted out. What else here? The V6 air conditioning, different. So we're gonna get all that sorted out. So I'm gonna show you, you know, the differences, how to overcome them. This is something that GM did. So you can do this using all factory parts. If you have a donor truck, if you're doing it that way, it's great. You'll have everything right there in front of you, switch and swap as you need. But if you don't have the space for a donor truck, or you're not using a donor truck, let's say you're just getting your engine and stuff from the junkyard, I'm trying to give you as comprehensive a list as possible to get everything that you need from the junkyard, or even just used from somebody parting out a truck, to try to make this as affordable as possible. So yeah, let's get started on this thing. I want to try to get all of the, you know, these systems all sealed up before I finish up for the day today. All right, so let's start with the real simple stuff, right? Now, the vacuum line to the vacuum booster, you just plug it right in. If you have an engine that does not have the vacuum port on it, the vacuum hose on it already, the little plug back there, it's a push to release. So you push in around the little red collar, and then you can pull out the plug. And once you do that, then you can get a vacuum suction line to feed your vacuum booster from another truck or engine, and just plug it in there. They're very easy to change. The fuel line, I mentioned this in the previous video, but the fuel line and evap line from the V6 fit the V8 perfectly. No changes there, no big deal, easy peasy. The ground that runs down to the back of the engine block, you bolt that right back in the same position as well. The steering shaft, again, GM meant for there to be V8s. It clears the V8 just fine, just like it did with the V6. And that brings me down to power steering. So I moved the original power steering pump onto my V8 accessory bracket. So I'm utilizing the pump that matches the truck. So I'll be able to just screw the pressure line right back in, and then I'll get my power steering cooler and hook that right back into the factory lines as well. So that's going to be plug and play, put it back just how I found it. That pretty much covers the passenger or the driver side of the engine, excluding the electrical stuff. We'll get to the electrical once I have everything else hooked up and I'm happy with that. So I'm going to get that power steering done real quick, and then we'll talk about the passenger side of the engine. Air conditioning, cooling, heat, what else? Transmission cooler, oil cooler. Most 5.3s don't have an oil cooler. I added an oil cooler. You know, if you can keep your oil temps a little bit lower, it never hurts. So while I'm adding it, while I'm in here, that was an easy addition for me. So I'll bring it back when we're ready to get into the AC and the cooling system. Okay, that's easy. Power steering cooler is just 2 little hose clamps, spring clamps, and then just 1 fitting. Piece of cake. So let me show you this radiator that I've decided to use. So like I said, I'm adding an engine oil cooler. So I needed a radiator from an engine, a truck that originally came with a 6-liter engine. To my knowledge, GM only put engine oil coolers on the 6 liters. All of the 5.3s and 4.8s, they didn't have engine oil coolers. So I happened to, a while ago, part out a 2000, I think it was a 2003 2500 HD, and it had what looked like, I mean, if it's not brand new, it's very low mileage radiator in it. And this has the engine oil cooler fittings that I need, as well as the transmission oil cooler fittings that I need. Not to mention, you know, all the normal connections, water inlet, water outlet, steam line, and overflow. So the nice thing about these trucks is GM ran several sizes of radiators in them, but the core supports are designed to mate up with all of those radiators. There's one core support that fits all the different radiator sizes. And that's why you'll see they have multiple holes drilled here in the bottom to match up with whichever size radiator you're using. So I'm going to sit the radiator in place. The transmission cooler lines are very straightforward. They just pop right in place and you slide the little retainer over it. Now I did save the water from radiator to engine hose from my donor truck, because it's V8. It only works for the V8s. The heater lines also specific to the V8s. The reservoir itself is the same between V6 and V8 trucks, but this upper hose also the same between V6 and V8 trucks. The difference is the lower hose. The lower hose goes one port to your water pump, one port to your heater core. And then the other heater hose runs water pump directly to heater core. So I'm gonna get the radiator set in place, get these hoses all connected up, and then I'll bring you back and show you what that looks like. Pretty straightforward, guys. We're really just putting factory parts back together at this point. All right, super quick, very easy. Just like that, all the factory plumbing is hooked back up. Lower radiator hose, upper radiator hose, heater hoses, reservoir hoses, hoses to the heater core, the steam line from under the throttle body. I did go ahead and put the electric fans. These are the electric fans original to the truck. Put those back and just snagged a little hose bracket and hose clip off of the donor truck I have here to get those in place. I also have the oil cooler lines hooked back into place. Again, the factory stuff, guys, so it goes together super easy. And that brings me to the air conditioning. So this is the dryer from a V8 truck, okay? Physically, same size as on the V6 truck. This is the V6 dryer here. Now if I hold them up, you can see that this port is in a different location for the V8 truck. The little pressure sensor on the side, the mounting bracket, that's all the same, but this port is different. So if you have a donor truck, make sure you grab the dryer off of your V8 donor truck. So air conditioning, again, I'm using the factory lines from a 2006 V8 Silverado 1500. They should bolt right into place, easy peasy. And then most likely, the one thing that I have the luxury of that probably a lot of you don't is an air conditioning machine. So this system has been open. It's been super humid. So I'm gonna get these AC lines hooked up and then pull a vacuum on this thing. Realistically, I wanna hold a vacuum on it for at least half an hour, and that should boil all of the moisture out of the air conditioning system. So hopefully the air conditioning will work as good when I'm finished as it did before I started. So yeah, I'm gonna get those AC lines put in, and then I'm gonna use the factory stock air intake from the 2006 donor truck as well, and just put it in place and snug everything down. Shazam! So I've got all my AC lines all hooked up now, and I've got the AC machine pulling a vacuum on it. I'm really hoping I don't see any leaks. If I do, I'll have to get a seal kit. I know the rest of it was good because the truck these parts came off of had great working air conditioning. So I'm fairly confident I'll have great working air conditioning again. So next thing I'm going to do here before I get into the electrical is hook up the air intake hose and then connect this last overflow line and then fill it with coolant, with antifreeze. I'm just going back with the factory stuff, with the good old orange Dex Cool. And then I'll probably fill it with oil also while I'm waiting on this vacuum test to finish. And once that finishes, I think the electrical is going to be the next video, guys, because I may or may not run into some problems with that. I don't think I will, but I might. So once I get it holding coolant and holding a vacuum, then the plumbing will be all done as well, and it'll just be a matter of getting the electrical all connected.